putting up Christmas lights.
I've seen the show in the past. Very impressed by it.
And we are so thrilled for this expansion.
This is just another big addition to the Freeland community.
Since 2006, the Shepard family has been putting on one of the most lavish Christmas light displays in Michigan. Self-titled and known to the local community as the Freeland Lights, the show draws large crowds to the Shepard's home each year. As an electrical engineer and lighting enthusiast, Gary Shepard, with the help from his wife Laura, have been developing and improving the show since he started.
In 2005, Christmas 2005, I was getting my inbox and my email was getting flooded with these videos from a guy from Ohio that put up a lot of lights and had them synchronized to music. And from there, I found out what he did, and I copied pretty much what he did and made it a lot bigger. And about 90,000 lights later, we've got Freeland Lights.
Freeland, Michigan is centrally located in the state along the Tittabawasee River. For a small town of around 6,000 residents, the Freeland Lights is one of the main attractions during the winter months. Due to the past success of the show and in cooperation with the local township, the Shepards have decided to move the show to a nearby park for 2014.
And it was by happenstance that we were thinking of going big, and we knew that the Shepards were really big and we had spaces. And we called them up, and I think we went to breakfast. I think the parks chair and a supervisor, myself, had breakfast with the Shepards, and they thought it was a great idea. I mean, we've got more room, we've got good parking, we've got a budget with parks where we're supposed to have events, and if they could bring their beautiful display at our park, we would do everything we could to help make sure it's beautiful, better than ever.
Every year of the show, there's a lot of brainstorming that goes on. Gary gets a lot of ideas in his head as far as, oh, I think maybe we should do this, or maybe we should do this, as far as for where the architraves are going to go, or where the archers are going to go, or where the reindeer are going to go. And I usually add the flavor where I'm like, well, let's mix it up this year. Let's move the archers over here to this location. And sometimes Gary will say, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, or let's put them in the formation of a spider instead of directly across. And other times Gary will say, no, the timing won't work with the song and the beats, and the trees have to be in this format.
We usually help plug in the things, and sometimes we help pull them out.
2 weeks prior to the show, Gary is working on getting the lights, extension cords, and decorations out of storage and preparing them for transport to the park. This year, Gary is getting assistance from the Parks and Recreation Department to help move and set up the show at the new location.
What you see here is going to become the arc of trees. These spools down here will become the giant tree, and there'll also be some of the what I used to call my core trail, which is lights that'll they're the ones that swing back and forth, red, green, and clear. Over here on the ground are all the controllers. Are all lined up here. They're the ones that actually control the lights. There's going to be 40 of them this year with 16 channels apiece. And here we have the arches in their stored position. They're straight right now, but they will bend when I put them up. If all things go well, the show will start the Friday after Thanksgiving and go through New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve should be last night. Have help from a lot of friends. Hopefully it'll help set this up. And a lot of work ahead of us yet.
The Freeland Lights is only a fraction of Gary's light collection. With a room dedicated to Christmas lights and a barn full more outside, Gary has one of the largest private collections of vintage and modern Christmas lights and unique bulbs.
Programming a song with the amount of channels I have probably takes about 5 to 6 hours per minute of song. Normally most of the stuff goes up pretty quick, but the tying in and programming and making sure everything's just right takes the rest of that week for me. I'll have help on Friday and Saturday, moving the stuff around, getting it all plugged in, and I'll be programming pretty much for the next 5 days. Take a break for Thanksgiving, and then it's lights on.
A week before the show, the sun rose on the coldest day of November as volunteers arrived to help set up the main parts of the display. Bundled in heavy winter gear, the team made their way to the ranger station where they were briefed on the day's activities. Using hand-drawn maps, detailed installation instructions, and oversight from Gary and Laura, the team divvies up the tasks and heads out to start setting up the display. Using number labels on storage boxes and equipment, the Shepards have planned where each piece will go with meticulous detail.
And between him and his wife, they seem to have everything pretty well organized, under control, and they know what they're doing, and we're just here to help out any way we can. Feel confident and that Gary's project is going to be a very big success out here at the park. This is just another big addition to the Freeland community.
Going pretty good. Started out a little chilly, but that sun's out. There's no wind. It's a beautiful day to be putting up Christmas lights.
We're moving along pretty good. Everyone's here that wants to work, and it's been a little chilly day, but we're getting stuff done. The wind's calmed down, so there's no wind, so that's real good.
The main focal points of the display are Santa and his reindeer, the arches, the porch rail, the poles, the Christmas tree forest, and the 25-foot tall string tree. As one of the largest and most difficult pieces to set up, the string tree requires a man lift to properly install. Gary normally uses an old pole truck he owns to create the tree, but this year, with assistance from the township, they are able to use a large two-man lift to expedite the task.
You see in front of you is the wide-ranging tree farm that we put out here for a light display. Ground's frozen about 2 inches down, so any kind of spikes we'd had to drive them in with a hammer. Got to spike them down pretty good, otherwise with the wind that they tend to blow over time. So, like I said, the 4th year we've done this, so we're kind of getting better and better at it. So,
in addition to the main pieces of the display, the remainder of the park is decorated, including the buildings, trees, and floodlighting the stage area. Although the show has always been free to the public, the Shepards collect donations from the show each year for charity.
People can come here and they can watch our show and see all the beautiful lights displayed out, and the Parks Commission has built us donation candy canes, and people can donate money in, and that money will then be shared between 2 charities. One of them is the Can Council of the Great Lakes-Bay region.
The other one's the Habitat for Humanity of Saginaw.
So,
both very good organizations that help the communities out that we live in.
Yeah, it's a great cause.
I am proud to be the president and CEO of the Can Council Great Lakes Bay region, and we have been working side by side with Gary and Laura Shepard on this project for 7 years, and we are so thrilled for this expansion. Can Council is dedicated to stopping child abuse and neglect in our region, so we do that through prevention programs, intervention programs, and also advocacy work.
The first year of the show, the first couple years of the show, I did not collect donations. I just put a suggestion box out there. It said comments and suggestions, and people were actually putting money in there. And well, that wasn't the purpose of the suggestion box. It was to maybe somebody had a favorite tune they wanted to see for the lights, or maybe put up a different type of light. But and people started putting money in there. In the first year, I think it was like $40 in there, and it's like I don't really need the money for the show. This is my hobby. I'm doing for me. So I started asking around.
You know, we got this great call about 7 years ago from Gary, and he was talking about the fact that he was doing this project and people were going to want to make donations, but they wanted to make sure it went to a program that would be putting the money to good use. So we were so excited and had no idea what to expect.
The first year I had like 80, that I started collecting donations, I had like 82,000 some odd lights, and my goal was to get a penny per bulb. Well, I actually tripled that the first year, so I was quite impressed. There was over $2,200 that first year just in donations to the box, and there was people that were matching, that offered to match the first 800 in $20, so it was quite interesting. Then years after that, it got up to about $5,000 to $6,000 a year for donations. By moving to the park this year, hopefully people feel a little safer getting out of their car and not the traffic and whizzing by, and hopefully this year the donations will be up.
By the end of the day, volunteers had installed over 100,000 Christmas lights on the 2-acre area and plugged in over 650 extension cords totaling over 2 miles.
Day one, better than expected, phenomenal help. We got a lot of great helpers today. You just gave them a task and they ran with it, and you don't always get that. You got good quality help today from volunteers in Freeland and Saginaw area. Everything's up, but it just needs to be wired.
Over the next few days, Gary works on the final wiring, programming, and technical aspects of the show to make it run properly. Using wireless communication, he can work on the show from his truck to allow him to stay warm and watch what he is doing with the lights live.
I'm basically turning on each bit right now. Of all 649 bits, I got to go through each bit, turn each bit on individually, and find out what is actually plugged into each circuit. From there, I'll map the. I'll go in and map the program to tell it to turn on each specific area or each specific bit when it's supposed to.
The show works by broadcasting an FM radio signal from the base station. Visitors can then tune their car's radios and listen to the songs from the comfort of their car. Gary programs the songs in special software that allows him to control each channel of lights. The computer at the base station runs Gary's programs and syncs them with the music being broadcast over the radio.
Okay, I set this up to kind of mimic what I've anticipated setting up out here in the park. Everything for the show happens through this Ethernet cable.
All right, what we have is coming out of the ranger station over there where the computer sits. Each one of these units is daisy chain connected with this Ethernet cable. Comes in here to the unit, one in, one out. All 41 units have cables coming to them. Each unit has 16 channels. 120 in, you can divide that up. You can have 2 separate banks of 8 channels. I chose on this one, since each channel is only driving 1 string of lights, to just have 1 circuit feeding this panel. But as you can see, there's what controls the show is the triax on either side here. Comes through some optical isolators, and that's pretty much it. Here's this is one of the wireless units that broadcast out to that half of the park, and also the other half that's behind me. This year, approximate count of lights is I know it's over 103,000. Probably about 53,000 watts for the show if everything's on at once, but not everything is on at once, so we don't peak at that. Pretty much peaked at what the park can use right now, unless we do some upgrades for next year.
4 days prior to the show, heavy rains flooded the park, submerging cords and causing malfunctions with the lights, power, and controllers. Gary spent all day repairing the show and improving the electrical system to better withstand large amounts of rain. After raising the cords out of the water and testing all of the lights, Gary was able to proceed with finalizing the show.
The National Weather Service has issued a high wind advisory for the Saginaw Bay region.
Tonight we had some pretty intense winds. I've heard up to 60-mile-an-hour winds. This tree, our 25-foot tall string tree, kind of dove and
laying on the ground when I got here this morning. It's done that about 50% of the time. I've made enhancements over the years and thought I had it good for at least 40-mile-an-hour winds, but the 60-mile-an-hour winds just took it out last night. So got the crew here today. Everyone's helping out. We'll get this thing back on. Should still be on schedule for Friday. I was planning on running my show tonight, but that's just gonna have to wait.
All right, so far this year, when we set up the show, we had about 25 to 30 volunteers. We set up the show on Friday, but then Tuesday, I believe it was, we had some pretty strong winds that took the string tree down here. Had some great volunteers that day. We got everything back up, and so far, everything seems to be going good with Freeland Lights this year. Looking forward to a good season for the rest of the year, and everything's been running fine, working great. A lot of visitors. Next year, hopefully, we'll do the same.